join.
Lovely.
Request to join. Why is it not?
I invited you. LinkedIn, good night. How are you all doing? You know me, Jared Best Mitchell in the building, just bringing on our esteemed guest and introduction person because we have to bring on the intro person. Without her, we cannot do anything. Lyndon is here, lovely. Plan with Antonia, Tobago Rentals in the building. I love Tobago Rentals. Lyndon have a weak spot in my heart for them. They're really good guys.
Right.
So I know we are live. Are we? Yes, we're live
Yes, we live.
on
So we live.
LinkedIn. Good night, folks.
LinkedIn Live with Lyndon and Jared, and I went to Chuck E. Cheese today, and I have vampire teeth on LinkedIn Live. If
Right.
any of you all want to go to Chuck E. Cheese, I went to these. This one, a second one.
Free
It's
plugs.
the bonus.
I went to the Chagonas Chuck E. Cheese with my friend. Thank
Chuck E.
you.
Cheese is not a sponsor of the show. Yes,
Thank you, everybody, for coming,
All right.
coming. Remember, our conference is in January.
It's having no conference in January.
Yes, it does.
Good night.
It's a Zoe Rules conference.
Good night. Okay. Hey Jamal. Good night. I hope I can bring it as energetic as my daughter, which I think I can. Stephanie Craig. Good night. And Jamal. Hopefully you're
It's been a
still
long
here.
day.
Tonight we talking about time management tips. And here's the honest shoot. I suck at time management. I think part of it due is because I have a really short attention span. But I do my best to try and stick together to activities. And all the days that I find things go well is the days that I really stick to what I have to do and I plan it in advance. So the reason I want to talk about this topic tonight is to look at it not just from that perspective, but also to in terms of you as a sales professional, how you should be planning your day in order to maximize your time as well in terms of looking at those activities. So Lyndon, I know you're tired, but take it away. What's up on your end? What's your thoughts on this?
I think it's an area that challenges in just as it relates to time management. Um, but it's also an Achilles heel for a lot of sales reps and entrepreneurs and I would always say sometimes we have time management issues in the worst stages of our sales process, like proposals.
Dog.
You know?
When Mike told you that, like I suck in, like it had a
Yeah.
point like 2-3 months ago, it sucked in terms of proposal until I finally
Yeah.
like stuck with it and built out a template now where I could turn over in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
But like, oh my, as an entrepreneur, that like I know for companies you have templates and stuff built in. Good night, Delano, Michael, Amali, Maya, congrats on your promotion. But yeah, it is. Ooh,
Yeah.
it is really one of the most stressful things. But here's the interesting part, folks, and good night, Gail, which I think some people aren't aware of. And it's something I'll always talk about. Statistically, it's always shown that sales reps perform at least 60% non-revenue generating activities. And I think that is one aspect to understand why managing your time is so important, because a lot of the times we are doing tasks which is submitting paperwork, we might be handling customer issues, or again, just like that, we're actually preparing proposals. And those things actually stop us from doing the main activity which fills our pipeline, and that's prospecting and selling. So to me, I want us to write that down as like a first point, as in what is revenue generating and what is non-revenue generating activities. And that would be the
Right.
first step in terms of planning your day, in terms of maximizing your time. Right?
Yep.
You're right, you taking notes, right, London?
Yeah, I just
Okay.
writing that same point down because I had it as balancing. So, but usually you're seeing it better.
Yeah.
Instead of me just saying balancing, prospecting and stuff, is compartmentalizing what is revenue generating from what is non-revenue generating
Exactly.
activities. Yeah.
And then, so here's the first two things, and you'll probably create this as a blog later, Linda. When you look at, specifically when you look at your non-revenue generating activities, folks, ask yourself, can I delegate this to somebody else?
Yes.
First and foremost, because the better you delegate, that leaves you more time to do revenue generating activities,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think Chris Do speaks about that a lot. Plus a lot of other influencers that we listen to, they all speak
Swear
about
by time management.
if based upon how important that particular task is for you, if you can get somebody else to do it for you, then get somebody else to do it for you. I would always say for me, like Lois has been a big value add to me because there are certain things I do not do anymore. So I don't do the email marketing emails. I don't do particular sales outreach. I don't. She handles those things, and those things for me are on the lower level of the totem pole for me because I have to focus on other areas, that type of thing. So yeah, compartmentalizing and then see. I mean, this is kind of bringing that point forward a little earlier than necessary, but see where you can delegate that for those people, even if it's sales managers, because sales managers or sales leaders or any kind of leader, sometimes we take on work that is not ours, so which affects how we deliver on the work that we are responsible for. So yeah, that is it's a big thing in terms of compartmentalizing and prioritizing what needs to get done. So I agree with that first one in terms of revenue generating versus non-revenue generating.
Any other tips you want to drop in?
Actually let me give it as an example before a tip. So a CEO, and you would have heard me say this before, Jared, a CEO that I really do respect. He's been very, very influential to me. He's a former CEO. He's now retired. He always walked around with a piece of paper with 4 things on that paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking him. So sometimes when we're talking, I would see him take out this piece of paper and he would just jot it down, right? And then he puts it back in his pocket. And I say, Mr. Belgrave, what is that? And he said, I try to focus on the 4 most important things that I have to do during the course of the day. He said, yes, I have emails and all these other different things, but there are certain things that's priority for him, whether it's meeting with another manager for another department, whether it's following up with a particular team in terms of getting a tender out or signing off on a particular document, or him breaking ground with a new vendor, whatever it is. He will just, because those 4 things represent his way forward. Now, I was actually surprised by that because you would tend to think that these guys they have so much in their day, so they have 20 things to do. But he has 4 main priorities that he needs to focus on. So his day, for a successful day for him, comprises in that, even if it's the first step towards something. So if it's opening a door, because it may take 20 steps down the road, but if he just creates the window of opportunity or creates an introduction, whether it's for somebody else on his team or whatever else, he just focuses on those 4 things. Now, here's my point with that. Urgent versus important, or just segmenting what is important to you, right? So he prioritizes based upon his work, urgent, important. So those things are priority for him. And that is what I want to say, that's the next thing that we should really be focusing on. So I just wanted to use him as the example and things that I particularly learn to do in my day. Because sometimes we might have a to-do list, and that to-do list is 20 things long in one day. It's not reality.
We feel good about making a long list, but it really doesn't do anything.
I'm going to be so productive today, but really and truly, you might
then you feel proud when you strike 2 off and then nothing else happens.
And nothing else happens. You might only achieve 1 thing,
I do that all the time.
And then you might choose 1 thing that is of the lowest value.
The easiest thing.
Then look through to say, oh shit, I should have really do this. Excuse my language. I should have really done this. So yeah, it's a matter of prioritizing what your day is and segmenting urgent versus important, low-hanging fruit, high-hanging fruit activities. So yeah, which ties back into Jared's first point in terms of revenue generating versus non-revenue generating. Sending an invoice, it's revenue generation. It's not an actual sale, but it's an administrative outreach. If it's you by yourself, put a day aside to be able to just do all those administrative things.
Correct. So just to recap for everybody, we're actually talking time management tips for sales professionals. And we actually asking for your feedback because I would tell you honestly, Lyndon and I suck at this. I don't know about Lyndon. I don't think I'm good at this. Really, I could be a lot better. So I just want to share some of the advice people are talking about because we will mention it. So Mari's talking time blocks, so we'll expand on that, which is similar to what Candace is saying, which is set time limits on tasks, plan and prioritize. She's also saying then make a list and have a do not disturb sign on your door, silence your phone, depending on what you're doing. Joanne is agreeing with us with delegating non-revenue generating and non-urgent activities.
Mhm.
So let me
I
give
can
you a
just
couple
say-
of things. Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
just say one quick point that
Mhm.
helps me a lot? I switch off social media during the day. Now that is a pro and a con, but I felt as though I was losing a lot of time sometimes on social. Like if I open up my phone, I might burn 10 minutes. You understand? And then I lose focus. So I sometimes switch that off and jump onto that.
Everybody be honest, because I would tell you I'll be the first one to post it. How many of us you're ashamed to go into the app section of your phone
and look at the
because
screen
you would
time.
see how much screen time you're spending? And
Yeah.
let me go straight into this because see Joanne talking about it. I was going to mention that. If you look at the Eisenhower matrix, it teaches you the importance of what is urgent versus what is important. And I think it is super important for everybody in sales to understand because I see too many sales reps stressing over certain things, and it literally just boils down to, is it urgent or is it important? And if you don't understand that, then you'll literally be running around helter-skelter. So Boland Trills, good night. Ishmael, good night. Brent is asking what's the con for social media, but let me also highlight this great point from Maya. She said it's always good to determine the best time of day to push your sales activities. For me, it's 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. are my most productive times. Follow-ups at 8 to 9 a.m. and administration from 2 to 4 p.m. Then I'm a full-time mom for the rest of the evening unless a plant is down and needs a PC of cargo urgently. Gotcha. Okay, I like that breakdown. That is good. Nice.
Yeah, I like that as well. Brent is asking what? Sorry.
What's the con of switching off social media?
Just sometimes the engagement. Sometimes someone may post something that is really good to engage with during the course of the day. You might miss that in your cycle because if you're switching back on 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the chances of you seeing that might be a day old.
Yeah.
Or you may not see it at all. So again, you have your pros and cons, but it's how you want to really manage that. So it's either early in the morning, midday, late in the afternoon, that kind of thing. But I know for me, I was not very strong in that because I would burn time. I would be sitting down here. I would have the thing in. My work is on the screen, but I'm scrolling through.
Yeah, boy. I just literally have to put my phone on the side here, or at least away out of arm's reach, especially when I'm trying to finish stuff for clients on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Joanne says
it is yeah, it's me. Like I don't care what anybody say. Like you could fight down, but you all know social media is like one of the biggest hindrances.
You love time. Yeah,
so here's another thing I want everybody to put in because I want us to do overall, like how I'm thinking of it, is to create a quadrant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then put in all the things that we need to do, and then probably break it down in time. So like Maya actually technically, I won't say not quadrant, a circle. Maya technically did her circle, but it's broken down like a clock, right? So I think if you understand, like she has a segmented time, 8 to 9, then 9 to 2, then 2 to 4, right? So let's talk about another thing I would enter in here, which is you have to put aside personal time. Because I think it's important for everybody with regards to their mental health, that if you have time, and I'm not saying like an hour, that could actually be 15 minutes to take a walk, relax, go and get something, grab a coffee, those sort of things. That could actually help you. So let me read out a couple of comments here quick. Boland Trills, we are talking about sales time management tips for salespeople. Steph Craig, Abraham is saying emails can run your day. Agreed. Vivica, hey, what's up, man? The same plan and prioritize. Sometimes the social media break is priority. I agree. It again, it's something I really struggle with. I'll be 100% honest with you all, host. Like, I just like idleness. So my brain gets occupied, you know?
Right.
So yeah. Right. So that was one of my things. So let's talk about the time blocking, because I think a lot of people don't understand what the time blocking means. When you schedule a day, and especially for a lot of people who have to do prospecting, I think time blocking is one of the best things that you can actually do. When I'm doing certain activities, especially call outs, I do that. And time blocking just literally means if you have a set activity assigned, it means nobody or nothing stops you from doing it. And they don't allow interruptions, you don't sidetrack yourself. So, for example, when I'm doing call outs, like if I'm doing videos, like you know me, I was sending videos to clients on LinkedIn, I don't stop that rhythm. And that's because, especially when you're doing time blocking, here's the essence of why I want to focus on time blocking. you always build a rhythm. I read a scientific research report that said it takes 21 minutes for you to build momentum.
Momentum, yes.
So think about it this way. Suppose you're exercising, you go for a walk. In the first onset, it might be hard, but then as you realize, as your body warm up and it gets further on, you're a little better and you're at a faster pace. If you notice when you're probably making prospecting calls, you're literally in a rhythm when you're making the calls. If you're taking incoming calls and responding to emails and doing everything else but focusing 100% on the prospecting, you get impacted. And Candice mentioned it earlier. If you're doing time blocking, you need sometimes based on if you're in an office, you need to tell staff or tell your colleagues, do not disturb me between 9 and 10. I'm doing this particular activity. We could talk afterwards. So I think time blocking is one of the best things that you could do if you want to implement something like this.
I wanna add a point to that time blocking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think the time blocking on a focused activity is important. So you're not doing 2 and 3 activities in that one time unless they're all connected. Meaning that if you are time blocking for phone calls or for follow-up emails or for social media, that's where your momentum will build. But if you're time blocking and you're piecing up your work, so you're doing this, then you're doing that, then you're doing this, you may tend to find that you're kind of spread out your stuff and you still lose time because each one of you're trying to do pieces of all the things in one particular time. So I would say time blocking, but making sure that you're focusing on that one activity, because that's to where you would build that momentum in those 21 minutes within that time. So I think a focused activity in your time blocked period would help you really see the results that you're looking for. And again, I'm just saying that for me too, because I've recognized that when I do focus on just one thing, I build a momentum, it gets better. So by the time I'm done, I feel really good with it.
Yeah.
You know? So, but if I'm splitting it up in 2 and 3 things and allowing myself to be distracted, then I might find myself, yes, I would have accomplished some stuff, but it may not be to the level that you want it to be done. Again, this is if you're writing a proposal, you're doing some assessment for a customer, whatever that thing is, focus on that one thing to help you.
And let me drop in, one of our regulars, Gail. Good night, Gail. A tip that works for me is prioritizing some tasks based on your customers' needs versus your own. Ooh. As in, what is important for your customer, which might not be a priority for you. My customer might want a follow-up touch and base call for me this week, but I might want to focus on preparing a proposal during 2 weeks. Because of the amount of work involved, I'm going to find the time to make the call to say top of mind first.
Right.
That is interesting. I'm sure some people might disagree with what you're saying, Gil, but I'm 50-50. I have to absorb that to study how I feel, but I understand where you're coming from because at the end of the day, it's a customer who's paying.
It's a customer. Yeah. So, yeah. And again, I could see that falling back into, okay, so the customer needs to get a proposal, the customer needs to get a follow-up call, which could eventually turn into follow-up business for you. So again, revenue generating activity based upon, so she's just saying, who needs this more? The customer. So do I need to make this call to the customer, or do I need to sit down and write out something here for myself in terms of some content? If it's the customer first, they all kind of connected, then you give the customer that priority, and then you deal with your posting of your content after, whatever it is.
K-Valley on Instagram is saying he feel like a hypocrite working and listening to this. No, mind you, I listen to podcasts when I'm doing stuff with clients. So I'm putting together proposals. I listen to podcasts in between.
Yeah.
I can't I'll be honest. I cannot just sit down and focus on one thing. Because but Lyndon, if you check it, I'm sure everybody sees it, right? While I'm doing this live, my eyes are all over the place.
Yeah.
Because I'm watching the screen, then I'm watching the screen, then I'm watching the screen, then I'm writing down notes, and that to me is how I could concentrate. And you might think you're all over the place, but no, it's centered around this live activity. But I have to have several points of stimulation just to keep focused. So to me, having a podcast or listening to something in the background and doing stuff for clients on LinkedIn is a great balance for me.
Yeah, I think for me too, I do listen to a lot of podcasts, and that actually helps me focus. Sometimes I might be listening to a podcast and I just gain momentum or inspiration in terms of the things that I am doing. So yes, those things do help in terms of your level of productivity. And again, you need to know as to how it distracts you. But I know we spoke about a little bit of the negatives. I just want to share like one. Maybe we could start talking about some of the things that we do that helps us. So for me, one thing that actually helps me is how I've decided to use technology, and I'm not even talking about the CRM here.
Okay.
One thing that helps me a lot, Jared, and audience, so the SAP community that's watching here, I schedule a lot of my emails. I do a lot of my email responses and outreach in the night. And I schedule them to go out at 7:45, 7:15, 8:15 in the morning. So while a customer might see these emails coming and say, "Oh, Lyndon working early." No, Lyndon worked last night. You know? So, but I always set the expectation with my customer to let them know, hey, I'm going to send you an email either this afternoon or in the morning regarding what it is that we spoke about. All right. So that is one thing that I have done. And I wouldn't like to tell you, I don't feel it has eased me up to the point where I don't have to feel guilty because I know I have to send out an email to a customer, but I didn't get the chance to do it. So if I have the time at night to send the email out, I will do the email in the night, schedule it in the morning. Yes, I might lose some sleep, some 1 or 2 hours of sleep, but I don't have to worry about sending it late tomorrow. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's a big thing.
So I know a couple of people rotated in and out. So for those of you joining us, we're talking time management tips for sales professionals because it's something a lot of us suck at. I want to drop in Brent Lewis comment, which I think is the most important one for the night. I think time management for sales professionals is more than just time blocking. As more as we discuss it, I feel more at procrastination.
Right.
Yes, Tread.
So I was not going to come with that point too. Right. I was going to come with that point as well. So I'll tell you what used to affect me, and this is where you really want to get serious about the work that you have to do. So you see that point I just made? I could procrastinate and do it the next day, but I've made it my commitment to do it in the evening because I don't want to fall short. So that's one. Another thing that I've decided to try to do, and I've been 50-50 on it. I still send out the emails, but sometimes I do. So if I have a meeting with a customer, I always have the notes, right? I always have the notes. What I've decided to do, Brett, is I try to write the email right after the meeting.
Oh.
Already there. The time is already there, right? So unless I am hard pressed to leave immediately, I will sit down and I have the notes and I will try to put together that email one time.
If I'm hard pressed to leave, what I started doing is I send a voice note to myself and summarize the meeting.
Right.
In terms of what I thought, what was the action points that we need to take, etc. Those sort of things. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. So because that procrastination is what keeps us back from sending the proposal, sending a follow-up email on the points that we actually discussed, or researching particular things where you have to give the feedback. So I wouldn't like to tell you all, it was something that I had to deal with, but I make sure and I do it one time, or I sit down after this call around 9 o'clock. I go through what I have and I start putting that together. If I have to go to sleep 11, I go to sleep 11. At least I don't have to worry about that tomorrow.
I honestly did not think of that.
Because we all have that scheduled feature on our Gmails and on our Outlooks, right?
Correct. Yeah. Good night, Julie Turney, one of my amazing friends out of Barbados. Shout out to you all. Good night, Stuart Hart. Stuart, if you're still looking at this, Stuart, listen to me. I saw the red sign on the office space. Stuart, listen to me. I'm telling you this. Like Glenda and I spoke about this. I'm telling you. Open up a coffee shop or workspace, shared workspace. You will get to highlight the furnitures and everything while generating revenue. Just trying that out there for you, Stuart. I'm just telling you, it would work.
Yeah,
it would work.
And to say this to Stuart, I actually did share it on my social that I got some space just to borrow from you all the other day, and a few people messaged me, "Hey, where's this particular space?" So
good spot, Stuart.
The interesting thing to Jared is that Stuart had this idea a while now, so he's been exploring the idea, but I don't know. It's up to them. So yes, Stuart.
You see, what you could do, Stuart, is partner with somebody. So find somebody who has the coffee shop, and we sidetrack your folks, but you know us. Stuart, find somebody who has the equipment ready for the coffee shop style because you're already supplying the furniture.
Yeah.
And therefore, you could just split and do whatever revenue thing, but I just say.
And it's good for business. And if you all hear any names, Stuart is a good colleague and friend of ours, past customer,
Yes.
and part of one of the more prominent furniture organizations in Trinidad and Tobago. So welcome, Stuart.
Yes. And Candice is talking of, I think we highlight Candice when she says she does the email as soon as the convo is finished, and thank them for taking the time to chat just to reiterate the conversation. I agree. I could honestly say sometimes that's not the opportunity all the time. But again, this is why we're talking about time management. So it could honestly mean that you have to schedule a day in terms of in between your segments a lot better. If you have an assistant, you can literally send them a voice note of what to type and send out the email for you on your behalf.
Yeah. Look, Gail is also saying just above Maya's point, what we're reading here, folks, is coming from LinkedIn. So my people here on Instagram. So Gail is saying, I know someone who types notes directly into Word documents after which they can copy and paste the points into the email. So also a very good point as well. I would also say something I've done in the past. I review a lot of my meetings. So most of my meetings, I wouldn't even say most, over 90% of my meetings, especially online meetings, are recorded. And I take time, especially if it's over the weekend, to go back over the email. Yes, I might run it on times 2.5 to listen to it fast, but that's how I kind of pull notes from there as well. So
really,
yeah. So I will speed through the video and just listen to the notes. I mean, if it's Zoom, you maybe all you have is audio, right? So you can pull the audio and listen to the audio fast, and you can just take whatever notes you have towards. So if it's a 50-minute conversation, if you listen to times 2, it's down 7 minutes. You just have to make sure I listen properly.
And good night, Medford, and the other persons who now join Clee 868. Here's an interesting thing, folks, to remember too as well in terms of utilizing technology for this. And I'm going to write it here as a point in terms of things you could do for the follow-up meetings. Both Microsoft Word and Google Docs gives you the option to dictate by voice. I would say Google Docs picks up our accents a bit better than Microsoft Word, but both of those core functions, which everybody utilizes on a daily basis, have the ability to do so. So I would recommend you do so because that allows you to put the stuff into email format one time. And I think even people emails have the ability to dictate. Linda, like if I open up an email, I think I can dictate the message. If I open up my Outlook, I could dictate the message. Hold on, I'll check now and tell you. I know I could dictate I could dictate a message in Outlook.
Cool.
I don't have to think. So we want to use those to advantage. But yeah, those are just some of the things. Yeah, technology is the best way.
I noticed we didn't talk anything about CRM and this and that. We just speaking specifically about simple things that we could do. We had to get too fancy. You know what's funny, Jared? That and y'all could let us know if you all are like this, right? There are sales reps who you all use Outlook, you all use Gmail, but you don't use all your calendar. So you all don't set appointments with customers. I'm saying this because just a couple of weeks ago, talking to a sales rep, how to go about booking something, she opened up her diary. I asked her, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm putting it in my thing." I said, "No, aren't you using Outlook?" "Yes, but send it to me as an email, as a thing," because I told her if I don't have it in my calendar, I'm going to miss that meeting. So she's like, "How do you do that?" 2022, young people like ourselves, you can't be asking now, how do you send an email or to book something in your calendar? And for those of us who are using a CRM, use your meeting links if there is one to allow customers to book time with you, block off times and stuff like that. So again, just a matter of being productive.
Correct. Adil, good night. Ancients, as Clee is talking about, let us know. Maya saying guilty, she probably puts it on in her book.
Diary, yeah.
Diary. Yeah. I can't, the only thing I put written in my book is notes on meetings. I don't put when I'm meeting with somebody in a book. I don't do that again. Anything goes in my appointment. Even, and by the way, folks, here's another tip too as well, because this allows you to see how you manage your day. One of the things I always do, my best stuff, is making sure that, like, incoming calls, I log it as an appointment on my calendar. Like, that is always, like, a key thing for me. And Brent is commented on the fact of what Joanne said, where she worked with somebody who had a full detail notes at the end of every meeting. What you're calling that, folks, which is something of your time blocking, is a non-negotiable. So it means that that person has the discipline and also the schedule down where after my meeting, I've taken notes of what happened so that I could recount or recap my day, or as I say, push forward a proposal to the client. So that's just some of the things. But yeah, it's something that we suffer with. I'm looking at the notes here now, and yeah, it really is a difficult thing to master and overcome. But the only reason I want to bring mention of it tonight is we know when you master and organize a day, especially for some of us where, like, I mean, I have coaching clients, they might always have excuse of why they couldn't do the prospecting. And like, prospecting is a core activity. And I'm like, we can't have an excuse to that. Like, we need to make sure and do your core fundamental activities. Yeah.
And I would also say too, I know I hinted on it from before, because it's not a lot I have. Getting help. So if you have someone on your team, if you're part of an organization, use your sales support where you need sales support, or tell your manager you need a sales support. So you outsource that support. If you have to pick it up as a cost as an entrepreneur, make sure that cost is tied back to a revenue, because those things are important. Yeah, those things are important. I see Amali's covering her face, and she says videos. Amali, what do you mean when you say videos? Is that you're making time to do your videos? Is that the challenge?
She's not making time to do her videos.
Oh, okay. All right.
She's not.
Okay.
And we know the power of videos right now. Just
do you know one thing that is so again? This is just the taking different strategies. So I'll share this with my boy JB, and by me having videos on how to do certain things in HubSpot, that has given me back so much time, because I don't have to sit down and make time to meet with a customer to show them do this. So yes, putting the time aside to create your content, and that content I'm talking about isn't out there on the social platforms. It's a content that I use to support customers in onboarding and training. So putting that type of content together, setting some time aside to do stuff like that in the beginning would help you later on in the long run, because I use Vidyard. So I have some email templates with those things built in. So when it's time to send those things, I don't have to make time to show customers how to do those things, when I can just do a 6-minute video, explain it in short text, and then send it to them.
That is genius.
How you want to be productive, but sometimes you have to put out some time up front and then use it to help you on the back end. So yes.
And that was something I explain a lot to my clients in insurance, and my clients, and like some of the clients in car sales, because like if you're in insurance, you're supposed to have a video on each of your products. And of course, you have that broken down into different parts on one long video. And as the reason why we add in this your time management tips, folks, is that this actually allows you where you don't have to spend time, as Lyndon said, replying to every single person. It's like literally a FAQs, so that you don't have to be wasting time. So Dexter said something. Dexter, I know you're now joining. So this would have happened. Brent would have mentioned it earlier. This directly goes to your procrastination, I think, as well. But something I always tell you. The sales reps who you realize are successful, just watch one thing with them. They are very, very disciplined in their activities, and they're consistent. They don't make jokes. So like when we talk about time blocking everything, it is down to the T. They let very little things throw off their day. Yes. And I think honestly that's why they're successful.
Because they have
sorry, I find my hairline looking second from there, boy. Is he like that? Oh God, sorry, I'm gonna shut next week.
Yeah. That's because too, Jared, is because they have a process, which is maybe the last point. So they have a particular process that they know that they have a system or process they know that they follow every single day. When this lead comes in, what is it I need to do? How they want the customer to be part of that process, and they just go with that. So when those things come in, they know what they have to do. And the only thing I would say that some of those top performers can do, because I've been observing 2 or 3 top performers over the last couple of months. If they get somebody, or if the organization delegates somebody to help them, man, that would ease them up in so much work.
I fed up to people that way.
Give them back time to be able to do other things in terms of bringing more leads and close more opportunities.
I fed up stress that a lot of companies in terms of who the top performers are, and they don't need to do it for everybody. Just give one assistant to the 3 top reps.
Yeah.
And like that extra 10% of what they can bring in volume wise will mean massive amounts to your organization.
You'll pay back for that rep, you'll pay back for that support and everything else.
Hands down, tenfold. Yeah. So so that's just some of our points tonight, folks. Let us know if it was helpful. I think especially with this one, Lyndon, what I'm going to do my very best on is get this written down into our blog so that we could post this on our website so people could get access to. Because I think some of these points are really important.
Yep.
And I think this might actually help a lot of persons reading along so that they could implement. Because you know our rule, folks. If you do one thing, you're going to notice a difference. Just one.
Yeah. So because even with Jared and I, we have a lot of great ideas, but with the two of us, we are sometimes very busy between existing customers we support together and customers we support separately. So that also means for us that we have to do some work with getting people to support, giving them the idea as to what they need to do, and then we just maybe vetting some of the work that's happening there. So that's maybe a shout. Let me just say that. Jared and I will talk about that after.
What's that? Which one?
No, I can't say it. I have to say it
after. Got you. We'll say it after. But that's it for tonight, folks. I mean, we really appreciate you all joining us. Drop some hearts or applause. Let us know if you enjoy everything tonight. And as you know, every week we keep coming with sales talks. And as you've seen that we started doing, every month there's going to be a webinar, a free webinar talking about a key topic in sales, a deep dive on it, so that we can give you more insights to help everybody sell better. So Thanks so much for joining us tonight.
I know that we spoke about the topic. We spoke about the topic today. You want us to let them know what is it all together?
I forgot, so I would let you do the honors.
All right. So this month we're going to be talking about practical prospecting techniques. And the good thing is that between Jared and myself, we have a good mix of different industries that we work with. So B2B in tech sales, B2B in other things, and then B2C and the B2C side with retail and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to be talking about prospecting techniques, and you will see the respective landing page and forms and stuff coming out very soon. Right, so within by next week, it should be out for you to start registering for the webinar.
Yes, fully agree. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I love everybody who gives us a thumbs up. That is most appreciated. And of course, next week, join us on a live. But of course, anytime you see us across the socials and you have a question about sales, feel free to send it to us.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, folks.
Take care, guys. Peace.